today's lesson, it's going to be about how to tackle complex traits, okay? And how text, oh my goodness, and how that takes grit. So we're going to be learning about that word grit, okay? So we are entering the last bend of this unit, the last part of it. So I look at you guys and I see a class of readers who know how to set themselves up for success, right? So you guys, we picked a good reading spot. You guys know how to pick a good book. You guys can talk about books and talk about them well. I watch you guys read your books. I watch some of you guys read books, and then I could see on Epic what books you guys are reading. I could tell that reading for each of you is the best it can be right now, okay? So here's the thing though. Sometimes reading is a breeze. It's super easy. It feels good to get lost in the story experience. But, and you already know this, sometimes reading can be hard, right? Because becoming a skilled reader takes work, and it takes the will to tackle hard text, okay? Remember when we talk about how marathon runners get ready for the big race by eating a ton of pasta, drinking lots of fluid? Well, pasta and water alone aren't going to cut it. You can eat mountains of pasta and still not be able to run a marathon. To be a marathon runner, you also need to work at running. You need to run until you get blisters on your legs, on your toes, till your legs hurt, till your stomach's hurting. You need to push yourself beyond anything you thought possible, okay? And the truth is, for you guys to be great readers, the same is true. When people study kids who becomes amazing learners, kids who really do well in school and life, they find that those kids have one characteristic that makes them different from others. And that characteristic is grit. So I know that's a weird, funny word. So grit is the willingness to persevere, so to keep going, even when things are tough. So are you all thinking what I'm thinking? We know someone with a lot of grit. A kid your age we've been reading about. A kid, who's a kid that we've been reading about that just keeps going, and when life gets hard, he just keeps whirling, going? Emily, did you say, I think I saw you mouth it. What did you say, Emily?
Willie.
Good. Awesome, Emily. Willie, little Willie. Perfect. So today I want to teach you that it often takes grit, so that you just got to keep going to be a great reader, okay? So each person in this Zoom can become a great reader, but from going from good to great as a reader takes working with resolve, working with grit, okay? And I know, again, it's funny. When I think of grit, I think of the food grits. So try to think of just grit, okay? So I'd like you to be researchers for me, okay? I have a reader I want to tell you about, okay? Her name is Lucy. So I'm going to tell you about Lucy, okay? And see if you think Lucy is going to have a good year as a reader or not. So this happened last year, okay? So I was watching Lucy and I saw her pick up a stack of books. She glanced at one of them. She just tossed it to the side and said, "This is a stupid book." And she picked up another book. She started to read through. She stumbled over some of the words and she said, "This book is too hard and it's stupid and I hate reading. I'm a bad reader. My brother was a bad reader. My mom was a bad reader. And I was just born that way." So, thumbs up if you think she's going to have a good reading year, or thumbs down if you think Lucy had a good reading year with that attitude. Awesome. Perfect. Yep. I felt the same way. So she's not setting herself up to be a good reader, to have a good year. So not with the way she's thinking anyways, okay? So I felt a little sorry for Lucy, okay? But I also kind of wanted to shake her and say, get some grit, girl. Because if Lucy were to dig inside herself and find some determination to keep going, she could turn things around. So a researcher named Angela Duckworth created something called the grit scale. And we're going to be doing that today, okay? So this is what we're going to be doing, the grit scale. I want to know that it has you measure out levels, but we are measuring out your grit, okay? So we won't even try to measure Lucy's grit, all right? We're just, because she'll get a big fat 0 on this, right? With her attitude and how she's thinking about it. So here's what we're going to do, okay? I created a reading grit test that I thought each one of us could take today, okay? I'll even take it too. So just so we could see how gritty we are as readers, and then we can use the results to come up with ways to push ourselves. All right, so I'm going to show you what the test kind of looks like. It's kind of a scale test, okay? So it is on a scale from 0 to 2. So that means it's going to be statements. So they're going to be sentences, and you have to think, does this describe me? Does it not describe me at all, or does it kind of describe me? So it's going to be either this statement, not at all, this is not me, or okay, this is kind of me, or yes, this is very, very like me. So let me show you what I mean by that, okay? So I'm going to go ahead. Can you guys see this? It says reading grit test. So this is what it looks like. It's just 10 statements. This is, yours is going to be on Canvas. This is just, I just pulled the questions. So think about, let's practice. So either you're going to give yourself a 0, 1, or 2. Now, the points are not, do not give yourself 2s because that's higher point. That's not how this is taken at all, okay? This is taken is, I'm going to read this statement to my, okay, so number 1, I read almost every day in school and home. So if I were going to say, rate yourself on this, so you think about yourself. So 0 would be, this is not me. I don't read every day at school or at home. 2, okay, most of the time, yes, I do read in school. Or 1, most of the time I do read almost every day in school and at home. Or 2 would be, yes, I read every day in school and at home. So you're kind of rating yourself. It's just, it's not going to be for a, don't think of it as a, B, C type of grade. Think of it as a 1, 0, 1, and 2. So we're trying to figure out where you fall on a scale, okay? So that's what we're going to be doing today, okay? So for example, the first question is about reading books at home at school. So I'm only going to give myself a 1 for me, personally, Miss Kalina, because I do read books at home, but I don't read books at school very much. When I'm with you guys, I don't really read. I don't really read on my lunch break or my break. So I'm going to give myself a 1 because I do read every day at home, but I don't read every day at school, okay? I wish I could. I could cheat and say, well, I would if I could, so I'll give myself a 2 anyways, but that's not being true to myself, okay? So we're going to be doing this, we're all going to be doing this at the same time, okay? And if you need me to, I will go ahead and I'll read out the questions, okay? And you can go along with me, or you could just go along by yourself, okay? So once you guys have taken this quiz, I'll be able to add up your total and give yourself a grit score. So don't worry too much about the score, okay? I don't want you to just give yourself 2s because you want the higher number. We got to be true to ourselves and be honest, okay? So let's look back here. So this is what the grit scale, remember? So very much like me, you'd give yourself 2. If that statement is somewhat like you, 1. It's not like me at all, 0. So this is kind of the scoring. So once you take the thing, I will go and add all your scores up, okay? And it tells you how much grit you have, maybe something we could do to get you more grit, and etc. Okay, so what we are going to do